Welcome to an edition of an educated discussion where we gonna get spooky tonight.
Boo.
Well,
Got him.
you may be my boo, Felipe, but my name's Elmo and we're currently in Felipe's house to discuss what exactly?
We're here to discuss my trip to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios Orlando, Florida.
I did not go.
Yeah, this is the first year you have not gone in a long time.
No, the kidney stone year.
Oh, yeah.
With the
That's right.
house that I really wanted to go to.
Oh, yeah, that sucks.
But we're here to talk about the 2022.
That's correct.
Now, Felipe.
Yeah.
You like this event, right?
I'm a big fan of Halloween Horror Nights.
Would you put this in your top 3 overall, or is this looking to be like a downer podcast?
Oh, of all time?
All haunted house.
It's not a downer, but it's not top 3. No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So going in, because Felipe's what he's going to do is he's going to give me the facts, and we're going to see if this convinces me to splurge on Halloween Horror Nights. I don't know who I'm going to go with. I don't know how I'm going to get there. But Felipe has the opportunity to convince me. And you, the audience, can do that as well. If you just type into the YouTube version of this podcast and type in the word boo, if we get if we get 14 boos in the comment section, I guarantee, I will promise I will go to Halloween Horror Nights. So you, the audience, are going to have to participate. All 14 of you.
What if I take too long to edit this and I don't post it to like...
No, I know
November
how you work. I know
3rd.
how you work, Felipe. You are a very hardworking man.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, we could I'll definitely run you through what I thought about this event. Now, just to bring it up, some of this is a little skewed because a big thing called Hurricane Ian just came through and kicked Florida's butt for a little bit and affected Orlando in a way. And literally at 4 p.m. on the day that we went, keep in mind this thing opens normally at 6:30, but at 4 something p.m. they announced, yeah, okay, so we're gonna open up Horror Nights tonight. Thankfully, we had a feeling this was gonna happen, but literally Hurricane Ian just like drowned a good chunk of Orlando. Like Hulk was underwater, like some of it, like the parts that go underneath. Yeah, that was filled with water. Yeah. So it was up in the air whether or not Horror Nights was going to be canceled, and this was Friday the 30th is when we went. And that day at 4 something they announced, okay, we're gonna actually open up around 5 to let people in, get accustomed, and then.
Wow. So you didn't know if you were even going to go?
We did not know that day. We just decided to go on a whim because we had a hotel.
Well, you had planned to go that day originally.
Yeah, we bought the tickets, we bought the fast passes. This is the first year of me buying fast passes. I'm usually the person waiting in line for 2 hours just to get into Halloween House. So this year I actually bought the fast passes. We had a hotel that was non-refundable, so it's like, well, if we go and they decide not to open, then we'll just it's Orlando. We'll find something else to do, eat or something, and then just drive back. But thankfully, on our way there, we realized that they opened.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was only to people that already had tickets, so they did not open up further for people to just arrive. At least that's what they said. And buy tickets. It was just those who already had tickets. So some of what I'm going to say is going to be a little skewed because there were some effects Hurricane Ian had on this event.
Okay.
Similar to last year when they finally opened up for COVID. And we saw the effects there with all the plexiglass in the houses and Beetlejuice wearing a mask and everything. Thankfully, this year, no plexiglass anywhere to be found, no mask anywhere to be found. Certain employees, not in the houses though.
Okay.
They wore masks, not the face coverings. But anyways, so yeah, I will make sure to mention that. But yeah, so what did you want to start with?
I want to know what your top 3 houses were. What am I missing out on? Let's start with some positive.
Okay. All right. So before I tell you my top 3 houses, I guess we'll start off with one of the reasons why this year wasn't my favorite. It's because they just did not have the IPs this year. If you really look at what they had, it was really
they had
only...
The Weeknd.
They had the Weeknd as their main thing. Now, Weeknd, for those that are under a rock, he's a pop singer or whatever. What is it? I don't know what genre he's in. He does a whole bunch of stuff.
He's a hip hop,
pop, funky, the techno, whatever. He's got some solid tunes out there. I'm not a huge fan, but he's good.
Look forward to our future edition of An Educated Discussion where we review the newest Weekend album.
We're not going to do that.
Type in the comment feet if you want that to happen.
No, we're not going to do that. And so that's already kind of a heads up, like, oh, that's their leading thing.
That's an odd main attraction.
And I had to do some research on it because not being a huge Weekend fan, I'm like, well, how is this scary? So then I found out that he has like a visual album out there.
The description says you love his music, but can you survive his mind?
Yeah. I don't know if he directed these music videos or what. I really don't know. But apparently, I watched one. I thought it was only one music video. Apparently, it's the whole album. And from what I gathered from it is there's like a narrative, of course, throughout the album, as you do with the visual album. And then there's like a little something twisted in every video. And I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and listen to 40-something minutes of music I'm not really a huge fan of just to see a little bit of something scary. I was like, I watched one, I'm like, okay, I think I know what they're going to do here. So that's your lead? Not for me. The next thing they had is Blumhouse. Big fan of Blumhouse. I went to their website and bought merch. I have a Blumhouse shirt. Okay. So I'm a huge fan of that production company. They've led to some very good movie nights. And they were using The Black Phone and Freaky for their house. So recently they've been combining two movies that they do, and they put them in one house, which I'll talk about. So there's that. And I'm like, okay, that's more towards me.
Yeah, that's not that.
And then
sounds like a good one.
And then they had Halloween. This is like the 6th year they've done Halloween in some form. Sometimes it's like Halloween 4 or Halloween Michael Myers Revenge or whatever. But at least Halloween, the original, which is what this one was based on, they've done this a couple times already. Okay, and that's it. That's 3. I mean, technically the Blumhouse has 2. So I think that's where they skewed it to the 4.
No, these aren't your top 3. These are just the 3 like main events.
These are the 3 main IPs. Okay. That's what I like about Universal. You know, Universal, as we've explained before, they bring the heat when it comes to like sets, production, all that stuff, compared to your standard, when you go to a fair and they have scared. Like they really put in the work and make sure that there's a lot of quality in these haunted houses and the scares. So that's one of the reasons I really like them. So, and one of the things they do is they get, because it's Universal, they have access to all these properties, so they can adapt a lot of things. Then you walk into something familiar. So a big thing, one of the reasons I first started going is they had Walking Dead. I was a huge fan at the show at the time. This is back when
I had ever gone as well.
Yeah, that's when Walking Dead was at its peak. Everyone was freaking out or whatever, and they got me. They got you. So we went, and it was great. So Walking Dead, Cabin in the Woods, Us, Exorcist, they have all the movies, freaking Ghostbusters, whole bunch of things. So it's always fun. And this year there was just lacking. It just seemed like, oh, we only got a couple things. And one thing they've done already before. And one thing's not even a movie. It's a freaking music. It's a singer. Yeah. So going in, I wasn't too happy. But whatever, it's Halloween Horror Nights. So
when it comes to what you're saying here, I definitely would love to go. But the IPs that they have there, I'm not like that upset about not going. Like, I should be more upset that I'm missing out. And the IPs they have there just don't give me that feeling of, I'm really missing out on something. Yeah.
Sadly, that's the vibe going in, but whatever.
Let's make an awkward transition, Felipe. We just had about 20 plus minutes of laptop trouble.
Yeah.
So if the audio all of a sudden sounds different, then we apologize in advance.
Yeah, we'll do what we can to fix it. But
as of now, the audio looks fine.
Yeah, now it's fixed. What the heck is going on?
We've been going on this for a while.
Then wait, I had to gain the mic a little bit. Let me just put it back down, just the slightest bit. Anyways. All right, so where were we?
So we were pretty scared that this podcast may not be able to happen.
Yeah, we got it.
You know what we actually wanted to talk about?
Yeah.
What we were scared of at Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah, that's right.
What were your top 3 spooky Halloween houses?
Yes.
When you went to this beautiful Orlando trip of yours. I say beautiful, but Hurricane Ian may have other words.
It was a great day.
Okay.
Very nice. I don't know. There's always after a storm, it always looks nice for some reason. I don't know. I guess because it took all the crap with it, and it's just traveling. But it was a very nice day. One thing I noticed was the banners at the entrance of Universal. Nothing was up.
All right.
You usually had the Horror Nights and music and all that. None of that was happening. Anyways, back to the houses. Top 3 houses. Blumhouse.
Of course.
By a mile. But I'll tell you why in a second. And then Classic Monsters. And you heard how I don't care about that.
Yeah.
And that was one of the better houses. And then I think we had a bad run of this house because it was probably one of the least scary ones. But the set design of it was incredible. Like the most complex I've seen in a house yet. Forgot the name of the house. But it's the Fisherman's Wharf. That sound? You had the houses up.
Yeah, but then we had all that audio trouble.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Let me stall by bringing up something really interesting.
We can cut.
I can edit this.
You can edit it.
Dead Man's Pier, Winter's Wake.
Oh, I was way wrong. Where did I get Fisherman's Wharf from? Anyways, yes, Dead Man's Pier. I guess pier, fisherman, whatever. But that one that had a lot of unique things that I haven't seen done in a house yet. Why don't you
tell me what made it so unique?
It felt, you know how there was a lot of set changes throughout? Like, it was almost like the closest thing to like a story being told. And at one point you go outside, not outside like in the actual house, but inside the thing you are. Mm-hmm. It feels like you go outside of it. You know how most haunted houses, you feel like you're just going through corridors and turns and stuff. There was one point where you go outside and there's like a ship that's like sinking or something, and you get to see it, and there's a character up there, like a ghoul, like a siren or something, and she's like whatever, and she's lit up with like neon colors. Like there was just so much like a lot of good just set and different terrain, and just it's kind of hard to explain, the audio wise, but there was a lot of production that went into it, and it just had the most complex. It was the most complex house I've seen in regards to your traversal through it, and
would you say ever?
Probably ever, yeah. Yeah, I've seen some neat things done before in houses that were more unique than like when they swing, and stuff like that, and stuff with mirrors. I'll get into that with other houses, but when it comes to just the actual layout of it, it was the least boring one, because ultimately what you're doing with the haunted house, you're just walking through it and turning left and turning right and going whatever. This had a lot going on and a lot of neat character designs and neat use of colors that I haven't seen. I want to see it
now. Thanks.
Well, you can look it up YouTube if you don't go. unless y'all comment boo or whatever you said. 14 boo. People.
Exclamation point, please. We want.
Oh, I know. I realized why you said 14. Because I said like we have like 14 followers.
Yeah.
That like actively listen. Anyways, so yeah, Blumhouse, Classic Monsters, and then the Dead Man's Pier or whatever you said. Those were the best 3
That's
houses.
Good to hear, because the Classic Monsters was one that I was probably the most interested in besides Blumhouse.
Yeah. Now, to I guess touch up on a little bit what I just said earlier when it comes to Hurricane Ian and its effects on the Horror Nights itself. I have a feeling that the reason they waited so long, or I'm pretty sure the reason they waited so long to inform if the house was even happening, was if the employees could even show up to work. Because, if you guys are unfamiliar, a lot of apartment complexes got like drowned out, and it was hard to like leave, because you'd be like knee-high water or waist-high water, just to get to your car. And obviously that ain't going to be good. You can't drive out of there. So I think they were waiting to try to make sure they can even have people come up. And one of the things I noticed, especially in that Classic Monsters house, and in a couple other things, it could have been that there wasn't enough characters that showed up for it, or people to run some of it. But there were some animatronics in this Monsters house, because I believe it was like the werewolf, mummy, Dracula, and something else. I forgot. A lot of the werewolves were animatronics, and they just weren't working. For some of them. And then there was the times where there was like a werewolf like in a suit, and like 1 or 2 animatronics that work, but 3 you can just tell like they were just off. Like they weren't like they're waiting to be turned on to scare you. It was just like, nah, that's off. You can just tell like it wasn't even in service.
That sucks.
Yeah, so I have a feeling some of that was there. There was one specific treat when it comes to the food that my wife wanted to try out, and you could only get it at one station, and that station no one showed up. There was just nothing there. Like you can tell where it was because I was looking at the map of where it's supposed to be located, and you can see the stand there and like the menu and everything, but there was no one there. It was like dead, like the lights weren't on or anything. So I have a feeling that that group wasn't able to make it or whatever, or they had to be resourced out to a different location to I don't know. So there was a couple of that, and then because they opened up so early, none of the houses were actually even open yet. They opened up at 5, but you couldn't go into the houses at least until 6:15.
Were you able
or
to
something.
like queue up in line?
You could, yeah, I believe so. But we went to Harry Potter.
Oh yeah,
right
and you had
away,
the fast passes.
Yeah, and we had the fast passes, so we weren't too worried about that. We were kind of just looking for we were finally there. You know, it was nice to be back. But yeah, the beginning part, you can hear like a little bit of the music and stuff, but there was just all the scare zones were just empty. So it just kind of felt weird walking through with no one there. But whatever, we understood that it wasn't really ready. But those were some of the effects I saw. It looked like there was a little less people than the standard in the houses. Even in other houses I noticed too. But just the one in the classic monster stuck out because there was like legit just stuff not even on. But it wasn't too bad. It was just a couple things like, oh, that would have been a good scare right there, you know. But yeah.
So we made a sort of unofficial bet.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember, where every year you and I go, not always together, sometimes,
Right.
and we get what's known as some twisted taters. And every year they
Do you want to explain what a twisted tater is?
All right, imagine a tornado on a stick, but it's all potato chip.
A potato tornado on a stick.
Twisted tater.
Yeah, it's spiraled on a stick, and it's pretty much a potato that they spiral out, split it, dip it in the deep fryer.
You can pick your seasoning afterwards.
And you pick your seasoning afterward, and it's pretty much just chips, but like
on a stick.
Yeah, but not, you know, it's good.
But it's actually been kind of lackluster lately.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like the first year we got them, they were incredible, like incredible, and the second year they were like, these are still pretty good. They're not as good as last year. And then every year they're like worse and worse and worse. And I'm just like, what is happening? This is the best thing they have. Why would you ruin this?
Now, I said, watch, the 1 year I don't go, they're going to be amazing. Were the Twisted Taters, did they live up to the former hype?
Look at the top thing on my notes right here.
Okay.
Twisted Taters are back. Let me tell you, they had this little special thing this year where they said, hey, you like them old seasonings? You can have them if you want to, but we're going to add this fourth option that I think was there last year. But it's ghost pepper, right? And I think that was there last year. But, like, you know what? That ain't enough. We're going to drizzle some queso on that. And you're like, yeah, ghost pepper ain't spicy enough? We're going to spiral that queso into crushed hot Cheetos. Dude.
Was it good?
It was so freaking good. It's the best. It's the best twisted tater I had. And like we were doing this thing where we were all trying like different foods. It was me, my wife, and a really good friend of ours that joined us. So it was just 3 people. So we would all get like different foods and we would share just so we can try everything, you know, or at least a lot of the stuff that we were interested in. And they were gonna split that one twisted tater between all 3. And I said no, I'm gonna get my own. I should have gotten 2. It was perfect because like not only were the twisted taters actually good themselves, you know how sometimes they like overcook them or undercook them or whatever. It was like perfect. And then like when you get it, you're kind of underwhelmed because you're like, oh, why didn't you put that much cheese on it? Like you could have added more. And same thing with the hot Cheetos. The cheese, it was white and it was kind of dark, so I didn't notice. But the cheese piled on at the bottom of the little tray.
I think I remember a picture you posted.
Yeah, like and then I realized that I can remove the chip and just dip it in that dang cheese. Really, really good. Yeah, I'm sorry you missed out. But again, that's if you like that. If you just like the standard like salt and vinegar or chives or whatever. I don't know. I just tried the good stuff that appeals to the inner Mexican in me, which is just spicy, hot Cheetos and cheese and queso. And it was very delicious.
So, of course, the 1 year I don't go.
Yep, the 1 year you don't go. They were really good. We tried a whole bunch of other foods. Nothing crazy. There was like some... It was pretty much a Hot Pocket that looked like a skull. There's pizza inside. Nothing. I took a bite just to have it. I was like, you guys can have the rest of that. There was like some thing everyone was like talking about. It was like this little pumpkin empanada thing. And it was really soft and like... I felt like quality on the outside, but the inside was just like a Jamaican patty. It was nothing great. And I was like, you can have that. I tried a whole bunch of things. Nothing to... It's theme park food. You know, they all have a similar taste.
Some people get really hyped for what's offered at the Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah, and we before on the way there, you know, it was a 2-hour ride for us. We were looking at like, here's the best things I ate at Halloween Horror Nights, and the main thing was that thing that we wanted to try. It was like a hot dog, but inside it was a whole bunch of mozzarella that was like Ninja Turtle cheesing, like stringing and all that. And it was covered in maggots, but I forgot what it was. And it was the thing that was gone. Oh, okay. So that was the number one on everyone's list, and then everything else was there. It was nothing great, but the Twisted Taters, man. Whew, come on. It's good stuff. I want to talk about the main draw to this event, which is the weekend. And that was a dumb house, man. That was a dumb house. Everyone was like saying, like, you know, I would look up the rankings of the houses and everything, and the Dead Man's Pier was up there, like, set design, whatever. I'm like, okay, whatever. They were not kidding. They were saying that the weekend one is like, wow, this one's a fun one. It's very unique, never been done. Sure, no one's ever taken a pop singer or whatever and made it into a house, but like, the music wasn't even that loud in there. I thought his music would be blasting, you know, with each thing, and you can like barely hear it sometimes. And like, I feel like I might have just had like a weird dead zone. There's a music video of The Weeknd that he's like in a funhouse, mirrors of strobe lights. You know,
I love their strobe lights every year.
You know how I love strobe lights and mirrors, right? Especially when they do it right. There was not a single person in that room. It was just you. And I don't know if that was part of it or whatever. I was waiting for something to jump out at me or The Weeknd to freak out or whatever. There was no one in there.
The Weeknd himself was gonna...
There was a lot of Weekends in there.
Really?
Yeah. No, I don't know. Because the thing is, I don't know if you've seen like that weird picture. He has like bandages on. And I guess he's going through some surgery or something. And he's like super Hollywood up, you know, super Botoxy and ugly looking. And then apparently he becomes like a demon at the end of the music video stuff. He's like some weird like Beelzebub looking thing. And you get to see all that. You get to see like the phase of him just normal. He's going through like some shock thing. And they just have like, you know, the shock noises and a whole bunch of steam. It's just like a doll. And then they have like some lady operating on him and removing his head, and just a whole bunch of, I guess, like going through the music video, which I didn't watch, but I can kind of see what they were doing. It's just him like slowly like transforming into this thing, and it just wasn't done that good. It was a lot of... I wanted more live action Weekends. There was 2 that I remembered. The rest were all dolls, and I feel like, you know, when you have the Beetlejuice house, I don't remember a Beetlejuice doll. Unless it was like that thing, you know, with the carousel on his head or whatever. That was the only time it was a doll. But there was a lot of real Beetlejuices performing, you know? And I was assuming this was going to be the case for The Weeknd. And it was just a whole bunch of, like, mannequins. And, like, ladies playing with his head, grabbing him by his fro.
I wanted to say, like, well, you went on a weird day. The whole hurricane happened.
Yes.
But you paid the same amount as everyone else.
I sure did.
So that doesn't matter.
Yeah. And I want to say that was the thing, the majority of all the houses, which is why I can't really remember them too well. None of them really were scary. Except, and this is one of the things that I say I learned during the trip, you gotta go immediately to all the houses as fast as you can before your eyes adjust to the dark from outside. Because when we got there, once they opened up Blumhouse, that was the very first house we did. And that set the bar and was never hit. Okay. And let me tell you, when we went into the Blumhouse house, dark. It was the most dark I've ever been into the house, where I was unsure of where to go. And that's where some of my fear came. Because I was like, I couldn't see too far in front of me, and my wife and my friend, they were in front of me, and at one point I lost them because it was so dark, and my eyes, because I'm used to the sun outside, and when you go into this very dark house, I was like, that enhanced my fear, because I was like, oh man, I don't want to go the wrong way. Like, I literally, you know how like when you go through a house, and you can see like the part that's open, like, all right, someone's gonna jump through there or whatever. You couldn't see any of that. Who knows where this guy is coming out from? And that made that house a million times better. And it legit got some good scares from all of us. And it was also smartly done, because do you remember that one year where there was another Blumhouse house, and it was the Happy Death Day? And maybe it was The Purge or something.
They like to go to The Purge. So
yeah.
Probably.
It was a weird thing where all of a sudden you left the Purge area and then you were in the Death Day room. You remember that? And that's it. This was 2 separate houses, even though it's the same queue. So once you're done with Freaky, you actually go outside for a second, and then you see like the wall, like immediately there, just a couple feet in front, the wall that says like the Black Phone.
Okay, that's cool.
Now you're about to enter the Black Phone house. So I actually like that, whether besides it just suddenly transitioning into it, because then it kind of gets your mind off of it or whatever. Freaky was great. The woman that got to be the girl with the jacket looked just like her. I was very happy. It was good. And then the dude, with the mask, he was coming out everywhere. Very, very good. And then same deal with the Black Phone. Dude with the mask, as we expected to see him, he was just everywhere, and they did a really good job.
Was there a point where he was sitting, waiting for you?
Yeah, there was, and I'm pretty sure that was a mannequin. But they did the one cool thing they did is they did add a little bit of movement to make him look like he was snoring. So because he was sleeping, during that scene in the movie when he's like waiting for you there, but when you actually go through in the movie, he's asleep. But yeah, they just added like this thing where he was like, just like rocking slightly, and then they had like the snoring.
You gotta say that for the audio.
Sorry. I was hoping the sound from the chair would come up. Anyways, very, very good house, and it was super dark and scary. And then we did one more like that was also really good. I forgot which one it was, but it was also very dark and scary. Just not too many jump scares in that one, but Blumhouse won by a mile, took it. Yeah. And then later on, we went to it again. And it wasn't as good because it was late into the night. It was actually one of the last ones we did, and now we could see where everything was because our eyes were adjusted.
Right.
Yeah. So something to keep in mind. So if you had the option to go in to the houses you're most excited for, go in while it's daytime. You won't be sorry.
That's a good tip.
It is a good tip. That's why I'm like, if I ever write a blog, number 1 tip. But anyways, another thing, scare zones. If the IP doesn't come through in the houses, sometimes they put the IP in the scare zones. They have The Purge sometimes, a lot of the times. They have Walking Dead sometimes. The stupid clowns from outer space or whatever. Not a big fan of it, but at least it's an IP that people are familiar with. None of the scare zones were tied to an IP that I knew of. And they weren't that good. I couldn't even tell you what the theme of the first one was. It just looked like it was maybe like twisted trick-or-treaters. So it was just like kids or people like in like old school kids costumes, but they were a little bit more bloody or whatever, and they were a little bit more creepy, but nothing great. Something else with some witch. I don't know. I couldn't really tell, to be honest, what the theme was to some of them.
If you're talking about that first area, I feel like they usually go more fantasy in that area.
I'm talking about in front of the Mummy.
Okay.
Actually, the one in the very first area when you walk in, we did that one last because it wasn't on. Yeah, and on the way out is when we noticed it. Like, oh, this probably would have been a cool one. Because they had some neat... all the set design, or all the costumes and everything was for that entrance one, and we missed it until the end. And by that time we were leaving, it was getting people were kind of like tired.
Right.
But, yeah. Scare zones were a little meh. We didn't really get anything fun from the scare zones like other years. So I would say the scare zones were definitely lackluster this year. Yeah. And it could be because people didn't show up to... There wasn't that many scares.
You didn't get a discount, though.
I did not get a discount, no. But those lines That's another thing I forgot to mention. Because of Hurricane Ian and all these weird restrictions they have, those lines were dead, man. Like, I almost feel bad for buying the fast passes because those fast passes were expensive, as I'm sure you're aware. And had I not bought them, I would have had an equally fine experience. We still used them because it's like, well, might as well. We have them, right? And at one point, the fast pass was the same weight as the normal people, you know, so it's like, whatever. But that was the thing about the fast pass. But Hurricane Ian made it so
that was a weird day.
Many people. It was a weird day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Did you have any other questions on this Halloween Horror Nights event? But I mean, that's pretty much all I have.
I mean, it seems like if there's a year to skip, this seems to be the one. But would you recommend I do go through the YouTube versions of them?
Definitely for the Dead Man's Pier, just so you can see what I'm talking about. Just watch the weekend stuff, just so you can see what I'm saying, because it was dumb. But if you enjoyed Freaky and Black Phone, which I think you and me saw.
I saw them.
And we were like, those were solid films. Nothing incredible, but they weren't bad.
I watched them with you.
Yeah. I would watch that one. The rest, there's some neat things. I was really excited for the one called Bugs Eaten Alive, because there was apparently it's the same production team that did the Pumpkin House. I don't know if you remember that one last year. Yes. That was one of our favorites, because like you know, you were like in the pumpkin and you could smell it at times and stuff. And it had some neat ideas. It just didn't go as far as I wanted them to. I did say one of the things I appreciated this year, they had a lot of blood being sprayed at you, so you actually got wet. That's more than usual. But they would have this, that happen a lot, where someone would like slice someone's neck and then you'd feel it on you. Yeah, I'm always
Why
a
am I
sucker.
laughing at that?
Yeah, no, just you twisted soul. No, that's just one of the things I like. Yeah, that I like, just simple and goofy stuff like that. It always adds to the experience. But yeah, I mean, I guess when it comes to skipping, I guess you could, but even on the worst years, for someone like me, I love this event.
So let's say I do show up, but I'm not gonna get a fast pass. What are two houses that you're thinking like, if you can go, those are the two houses you should like. Don't worry about those. Get your good ones in. What are the two most skippable ones? Would you say?
Spirit's Coven, I think was it. Because usually we're in the line, I have time to read the description of these houses. I was just winging it that day. I didn't read any of them. And Spirit's Coven, I'm like, oh, okay, so like witches and stuff. Nah, I don't even know what was going on in that house. It was so all over the place, and I don't even know what it was supposed to be.
And it was dumb. Your inner Mexican did not mention the Chupacabra house. I'm
also disappointed in that one. Although I did like the design of the Chupacabra when he did come up a couple of times, but it was definitely the deeper kind of Mexico that I'm not too familiar with. It's like almost Coco Mexico, you know, like really like in there, and it was neat, but not the best. Yeah. So skipping, definitely Covens.
There's this one called Descendants of Destruction.
Let me see that.
Careful not to leave any of your Scream Squad
subway tunnels
behind.
That one actually was pretty good.
Okay.
Well, another thing where they really used the set design well on that one. Not a scary house, but I would actually say that one's good.
Okay. I mean, we've been so desensitized.
Horror block horror? No, cell block
Hell
horror?
block?
Hell block horror. I think that one. I don't even remember that one, so that must not be good.
Prison inmates.
Yeah. I don't know.
Sounds
There
like
was
the weekend one is the one to skip.
I wanted to say that, but at the same
attraction.
time, it is the main attraction, and because it's different, I'd say just try it. But
wait, what song was playing when the lights were flashing?
I'm pretty sure it was the Blinded by the Light
Okay,
song.
I was just making sure, because that I would be really annoyed if.
But it wasn't. I know I said strobe, but I don't know if I said that right. It's not a. I guess it's a strobe, but not a fast one where the stuff moves. It was just. It's like a pulse, like.
Okay.
I don't know. He did it at the Super Bowl. He was like in some thing and he was walking around and there was all these lights everywhere. And I'm like, this is cool because this looks just like it. But I'm like, was there a scare here? And there wasn't, at least when I went through it. The coolest part was there was a scene where there was a whole bunch of mannequins of The Weeknd all bandaged up. And there was like 3 or 4 of them that were actually real people. And that was actually a good scare.
They always do good with do well with that.
And that one did have a slight strobe effect to it where it made it really good.
I don't know, nothing's ever gonna be. There was a Walking Dead house that had a strobe light once with chain link fences.
Yeah,
that one sticks in my memory as
still to this day that was a good one. Right. But yeah, that was my review of Halloween Horror Nights 2022. On
a score of 1 to 10 on the Felipe Slayer scale, we'll call it, where would you rank this?
This is a tough one. Cause I don't want to rate this with my heart because I love them so much. But when I actually think about the experience that I had and what I really like about Horror Nights and how some of it wasn't there, I'm gonna have to give this a 6.5.
6.5 out of 10.
This was an okay year. Almost good. But I've had excellent before. And you can't compare it to those.
Just didn't measure up. Well, Felipe, thank you so much for not only allowing us to podcast in your home, but for giving me and the listeners all this wonderful information and intel on Halloween Horror Nights 2022. The Orlando, Florida version.
Yeah.
I'm sure Singapore has something else going on.
There's the Halloween California. They have Death Eaters as a scare zone.
What?
Yeah.
No, they where?
Yeah, they do.
Where?
In Halloween California.
Shut this podcast off. Now I'm upset.
Yeah, and also when you go to like Nocturne Alley, you can find them there.
No.
In California.
No, they did not.
Yeah, they did.
All right, this is over. I'm upset now.
Yeah, sorry. But if you like our thoughts on Horror Nights, you can listen to our pitch on Halloween Horror Nights based on video games.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a really good one. Man, listen, I know we're a smaller cast, right?
Tell your friends.
Everyone always says, oh, like, share, subscribe. Yo, do it. You know what I'm saying? Because that Halloween Horror Nights one that we did about video games, like if it was a video game themed one, I think we each chose like 4 houses or something.
3 or 4.
Dude, that was really good content. And it's a shame people aren't hearing that because that was solid. So that was my complaint.
Yeah, get your friends to listen and then you can force me at 14 comments. It can't be just,
the same person.
Butt Ripper 444. He's just gonna comment 14 times. No, it needs to be 14 separate accounts.
Yeah. So it'll be Butt Ripper 445, Butt Ripper 446.
You know what? If someone is trying that hard to get me to go, then maybe I should respect it.
Yeah, and then we'll do a quick follow-up cast on what your thoughts were. But anyways, that was our thoughts. Thank you guys for listening. Follow us on the social medias, all that stuff. And before you go, we do have just a small request from you.
Here's Before You Go by Louis Capaldi.
Yo, Alexa. What the heck?
Alexa. I'm keeping this in.
What the heck?
I don't know if this will flag the podcast for copyrighted audio. But it was short enough. I think we're fine. Yeah, we're leaving that. Maybe put it at the beginning.
That's great. Or maybe just whatever.
Thank you so much for listening, everyone.
Small request before you go.
But one piece of advice we have for you: keep it educated.
Luda. Chris.
Fish.
Sticks.
Brown.
Socks.
Green.
Eyes.
Teeth.
Lick. I don't know.